Wrestling podcast never felt this great. Tables, ladders, chairs, they tell it all. From the highest highs to the lowest fall. Great and glory tales from the ring. Every chant, every cheer they'll bring. Devon and the Duke bring the heat. Wrestling tales knock you off your seat. Tune in now, don't you be late. Wrestling podcast never felt this great.
Brothers and sisters, welcome back. Welcome back to another exciting edition of the three-time award-winning podcast, Devon and the Duke. This is a limited edition podcast hosted by your main man, Duke Loves Rasslin, and of course, the Hall of Famer himself, five-time Hall of Famer, the man who continues to shock the world, including barbecue sauce making and eating people who can't fathom this man's success in spite of whatever the barbecue sauce maker has to say. Brother Devon Dudley, what's going on, man?
Boy, I tell you, I think you're in the wrong business. You should have became a comedian with those jokes coming up like that. That's great. I couldn't have done that better myself. I don't even think Bubba could have done that better himself.
Listen, did you see? I sent you the picture that I generated for last episode of you putting the barbecue sauce through the table. It'd be on the mic with my eyes big, like whoa, in a wrestling ring. I'm telling you, man, we got to get creative with it.
Listen, I love barbecue sauce. I do. So to put it on the table, I'm good with that.
I'm good with that. Oh God, man. I'll tell you, first of all, congratulations, viral again, all that good stuff there. We closed 2025 solid and we started 2026 even more solid, which is amazing. We gave our response to the nonsense that Jim Ross had said on his show, Grillin' JR. And I got to be honest with you, Devon, I knew that people would listen and share and talk. I didn't realize we would receive so many comments, though, especially in the positive, just dissecting not just the issue itself, but from the broader standpoint, like we talked about. People are dealing with bosses disrespecting them, saying completely degrading and racist things to them, and putting them in a position where they have to eat that in the moment. And it kind of reminds me of the whole Stone Cold Steve Austin thing, where people were living vicariously through that character when he was giving his boss Vince McMahon the middle finger and beating him up. It's based on the comments. It feels like there's a lot of people who have been disrespected the same way you were, and they're happy that somebody, in this case you, have been able to set the record straight and call it out. And the other party, JR, he's being called out even by his own fans as a result of what's come to light, so to speak. How do you feel about that? And did you expect it to resonate as strong as it has?
No, I didn't. Number one, I didn't want to. Because, again, I'm not trying to take money out of anybody's pocket, nor off anybody's table. But, again, when a question is asked of me, I'm going to be honest and tell the truth about it. But the thing about it is, like I said on the last show, if it was someone that was a witness that was African American, then it would have been said, oh, well, the race card is being pulled and this and that and blah, blah, blah. There's no warrant to it. Because, of course, he's black. He's going to stick with Devon. But the fact that it was Bubba who's white, and regardless if you like Bubba or not, you think he has a big mouth or not, regardless if you think, he's only out for himself, I've heard all those comments about Bubba. The one thing I will say is Bubba's not known to be a liar. So for him to ask me the question and then, specifically say that he remembers this and goes on and on about it, then there you go. So I'm not lying. And to have grave details of everything that went on and where it happened, that should show you right then and there. I've never changed my story. And again, like we said before in the other episode, I always wanted to keep it sacred. I didn't want to put any names on it until I was asked. And once I was asked, I said, okay, here you go. And that's what I did. So I'm not trying, you know, to belittle that man or hurt him. But again, like someone told me, you said what you said. Now you have to live up to it, regardless if it was 25, 30 years later. Listen, for those who are not black and say, why now, 20 something years later, 30 something years later, you've never been in the shoes of a black man or a black woman. So to hear these comments made even way back then, and there's no apology, and then you hear comments being made time after time again to other people, it fills you up with fire again about it. And then you hear stories, and it's like, okay, enough's enough. When is this crap going to stop? And hopefully now finally it stops because it's been exposed. Again, I don't have any ill feelings. I don't wish him. I don't wish him any bad feelings whatsoever. But again, you have to own up for what you did, and that's it. The best thing you can do right now is just say, "Listen, I messed up. I apologize, and I hope we can move past this." It's the same as with Hogan. And the thing about it is, the people weren't as forgiving to Hogan. And a lot of it is being said. The reason why that was because they felt like he wasn't legit in his apology. They felt like he was making excuses of why he said what he said. And again, my personal feeling on it is exactly what I said on the show. When he came to me personally, he didn't have to apologize to me, but he did because him and I were friends, and it dated back to TNA with the whole aces and eights. So, it is what it is with that. And there are a lot of, believe me when I say it, there are more people out there that have done the same thing far worse than Hogan and far worse than JR. But no one's exposing that because if you did, trust me, you would be crushed. You would be crushed to know some of the people that you look up to. And again, it doesn't have to be like this. This world does not have to be full of hatred. There's no reason for it. And that's where, you got to kind of draw the line and say, enough's enough. Stop. This is not the 40s and 50s and 60s anymore, 70s or 80s. You got to move on past this. We're not going anywhere. We all have to live together on this earth until God takes us. And that's what we have to deal with. So, again, I don't know what else to say about it in terms of, again, just own up and move on. That's the one. That's all you can do.
Agreed. Agreed 100%. It really made me scratch my head how many people latched on to your comments about John Laurinaitis, aka Johnny Ace. Um, a lot of people feel that because Laurinaitis was named in the lawsuit, he's a bad person, and therefore no one should speak about any positive experiences they ever had with him because he was in the lawsuit. And I find that to be such a strange stance that anyone can take because you weren't defending John Laurinaitis so much as you were just telling your story. This is what happened to me. These are the people who are involved. This is how I felt about it then, and this is how I feel about it now, reflecting back on it. So you're not trying to put anybody over. You're not trying to kiss anybody's ass. You're not trying to bury anybody. You're just talking about your life.
Yeah,
And
pretty
when
much.
and when you got to Laurinaitis, you were setting the record straight on a few things because you did at one point uh, speak about Laurinaitis in a not so positive way, and then you found out you were mistaken, so you wanted to correct that. But were you quote unquote defending Johnny, or were you just telling it like it is?
No, I was just telling it like it is because when I didn't mention names, people assumed that it was Laurinaitis. A lot of people assumed that it was Michael Hayes because of what happened with him. And I was setting the record straight. No, because I wasn't saying any names. So people were kind of like throwing names out there, trying to think that it was them, and it wasn't. I'm not going to sit there and badmouth somebody or put somebody on the hot seat because they feel I should because of past things that have happened with them. I'm just letting you know, no, it wasn't him. He actually helped me as a producer. He was there for me. He did everything possible to make sure that the transition from talent to producer was done smooth. He put me in certain positions, certain matches in the very beginning because I was brand new that he knew I could handle without putting me in the fire. He didn't throw me right in there. He took care of me in that aspect. So that's all I was pretty much saying. So when you start throwing names around because you don't know who I'm talking about, I'm not going to let you sit there and say, oh, and let you assume that it was somebody when they had nothing to do with it.
Yeah, agreed. Agreed. It's funny. I got a friend of mine, brother Jamal Crawford, here in Boston. He's an incredible activist, good citizen, the whole 9 yards there. Um, really, really one of the forefathers of police reform here in Boston, and he has stayed on top of it through the years, over 40 years of really pounding the pavement, going all the way back to when he was younger. But anyway, he would always say, hey, I'm going to name names because I want to make sure there's no confusion about who I'm talking about. Because when you don't name names, exactly what you just said, Devon, people start assigning who they think it is. And that creates a whole other set of problems, especially if so and so had nothing to do with it. You've only put Michael Hayes over based on your experiences with Michael Hayes. But yet
Absolutely.
people keep trying to lump him in. Oh no, he must be talking about. And it's like, no, he's not talking about Michael Hayes. You know, so
Yes.
it's an interesting thing there. In retrospect, it's good that you're naming names at this point. You know,
Yeah. Yep. And again, I don't want anybody to take it to where they think that, these people have said these things because they didn't. So I'm not going to sit there and let people get buried because they assume or they want them to be buried. I'm not going to do that. It had nothing to do with these guys,
yeah, yeah,
so leave them out of it. No.
yeah. Agreed. And by the way, for anyone, why would you do this to Jr.? This is hurting him. It's going to hurt his reputation. Well, listen, folks, AEW is literally selling Dynamite Wednesday, January 7th, 8 p.m. Eastern Time, TBS and HBO Max, the return of Jim Ross. That's their biggest thing that they got going on for the night. And this episode is happening in Tulsa, Oklahoma. My point is, it couldn't be burying JR so much if Tony Khan is literally selling an entire event, his entire TV show, centering it around Jim Ross. So, do with that what you may, folks. But I would say that if anything, maybe Tony Khan is even more proud of Jim Ross for how he treated Devon, and that's why he's banking a whole episode centering around the barbecue seller with the black hat. I don't know. I don't know, Devon. Would you have made that business decision? you know?
No, I wouldn't have. But, here's the deal. I hope they hit a home run. I'm going to
Yeah.
be,
Yeah.
honest. I hope they hit a home run with it. I'm not looking for their downfall or
Yep.
anything like that. Listen, that company does what they want to do, just like WWE does what they want to do. So I'm not going to sit here and say, oh, it's wrong that they're doing that. I had an experience, with him, and that was it. And again, I've gone on record saying I'm not mad at this man. If you're sitting up there honestly saying, why would I do this? Because, again, it's going to hurt him. Number one, the comments should not have been said. I don't care how much younger you were back then. In other words, well, he's older now, this and that. No, the comments should not have been said. And it should have been rectified the minute that it came up. That's the way I look at it. It should have been rectified and it wasn't. But again, I didn't ask for this. So you can hate me or whatever you want to say what you want to say, but I did not ask for this. Okay. A question was asked. I answered the question. The two people that were with me, gave an assumptions of who it was, and one knew who it was, and the other one didn't. But as the story was being told, kind of figured out who it was, and that's was when the names were said. So again, don't hate me because I'm talking about something that was dear to me and hurt me back in the day. listen, there's nothing you can do. A grown ass man, there's nothing you can do when somebody does something or says something to you and you can't defend yourself. The thing you brought up about Vince and Austin is exactly what that was, what you said it was. Here it is. What guy back in the 90s, or what woman, I don't want to be sexist, what woman or a guy in the 90s who was mad at their boss and wanted to give them the middle finger or beat the hell out of them? You lived vicariously through Steve Austin to do that. Now, I'm not saying anybody should live vicariously through me because I'm nobody the individual, but at the same token, if I'm going to tell my story, which is somewhat similar to what you've gone through, then I don't mind being an advocate for it. But again, I'm not looking to bury anybody. I'm just looking. A question was asked, and I just told the truth.
Indeed, indeed. It, we talked about Shane McMahon and your relationship with Shane, the fact that Shane even called you on your birthday recently, and that ended up becoming a big story as well. A lot of folks covered that, and people really enjoyed that. And I was reflecting on this, Devon, because early on when you and I started this show, we had Lacey Evans on, aka Macy Estrella, a fantastic person, great conversation. That was a great episode. And it was fun to hear you and Lacey go back and forth and talk about your friendship and what have you. Really, really cool. That was definitely something that people were surprised about. The fact that you would have such a strong friendship with Lacey, of all people. And you've spoken about your friendship with Sasha Banks, Mercedes.
Mm-hmm.
Give us another one.
Yeah,
Now we got Shane
she's like a
McMahon.
daughter to me.
She's like a daughter to you. Now we got Shane McMahon. Give us
Mm-hmm.
another one. Who's another person that people would be very surprised to know that not only are you on good terms with, but you actually are good friends with?
Well, I did mention this before on my other podcast that I had a few years back. Me and Alexa Bliss, we were very good friends. She knew my wife at the time, and my kids. They were both pregnant at the same time. And we went over to her house for functions and things like that. She came to the baby shower with her and her husband and the baby. She came to the baby shower. Gave a very nice gift, and we hung out a couple of times. They invited us to some events that they were having um, in Orlando, and we were very good friends. The public, though, I shouldn't say the public, the media tried to twist it because one day Alexa basically we were talking about a massage chair at work one day, and she said how she just got this chair and it was great. Oh my gosh, she felt like she was in heaven. And she never, sat in a massage chair like this. And her husband, Ryan, now was also putting it over. And she said, Devon, you got to come to the house and try it out. I'm telling you, it's phenomenal. So I said, okay. And I forgot why. Oh, I was coming over to drop off a gift to her for her and the baby. And I said, hey, so where's that chair? She goes, it's right over here. So we sat down in it, and she was right. It was phenomenal. And I've never, it felt like I was really being massaged by a real person as opposed to a chair. And I put that over on the show and everything. And we had Alexa on the show, and Alexa basically said the same thing. Everything I'm saying, she said the same thing. But then the media tried to twist it around and say, oh, Devon went to Alexa's house and this and that. What's really going on between these two? Nothing was going on between the two of us. We're friends. I knew her husband. She knew my wife, and that was just the way it was. Our kids were going to play together, and the whole nine. It was totally innocent. No relationship whatsoever. I respect her. She respected me, and we're still like that to this day when we see each other. We don't speak as much anymore. I had some personal things going on in my life right now, but we don't speak as strong anymore because she's always on the road. I'm not fully with the WWE like I was in that capacity to be able to see her every week, but we still talk to each other on the phone every once in a blue moon. And when we do, it's like two friends who haven't seen each other in years can take over right where they left off. I respect her. She respects me. It saddens me that the media likes to turn things around and make it as ugly as they do. It's not right. And, but that's the world we live in now. In order for a person to get their show over, they feel like they got to take what we say and twist it.
They're afraid of the truth, and it's disgusting because, like you said, they take the reality and then they twist it and sensationalize it, which is crazy. Because anyone
It
who
was
knows you, what's that?
no, it was crazy because she was like, yeah, I asked Devon to come over to try out the chair and this and that, and the headline read, Alexa Bliss asking a 40-year-old veteran wrestler to come to his house, to come to her house, and this and that and blah blah blah. What's really going on? I'm just like, you got to be kidding me that you would actually say you put this in writing when it's clear on the show what was being said and why we were saying this.
Well, and the other part about that is that whole generation of women who are coming up from NXT and what have you, and the guys too. We can start listing all of those people and then just go back to each episode you've done with me and how you talk about them and even how they talk about you. And it's very clear that you've developed very strong bonds with all of them and they all respect you.
Yeah,
And more importantly, they enjoy your company. Like legitimately, you're a good friend, right? So it's ridiculous that anyone would try to twist that and turn it into something that isn't. I will say this though, Devon. It is they got you on Stephanie McMahon, Lacey
that
Evans, Alexa Bliss. Are you some kind of long-legged Mac Daddy? Is that what the media is trying to say that we got to hide our
hell.
wives now because Devon's coming through?
Listen, hell no, because they forget. Hell no, they're forgetting all the guys.
That's
The
right.
Usos,
Yeah,
the New Day.
yeah.
The Bludgeon Brothers when they were together. Eric, and was it? It's one of those things where you hear me talk about that, especially during my producer days, but you don't put that on the report. You I got like I said, I got upset about the whole Stephanie McMahon because that really hurt me because this woman did not have to call me during my stroke, and she did. Not only did she call me, but she left a message stating, hey Devon, sorry I missed you. You're a true rock star and this and that and blah blah blah. I know you're gonna bounce back from all of this and so forth and so on. And I can't wait for you to get back so I can tell you to your face and see for myself that you're okay. Not that I'm not taking anybody's word for it, but so forth and so on. And then she called me again. The first time she called me, I was being seen by the doctor and my phone was on vibrate, so I didn't hear it. Then she called again, but I was in surgery. So, and she spoke to my wife at the time and she, let her know that um, I was doing good. I was doing better. Doctors caught it in time and everything was good. Not to mention the second message, it was funny because the second message she left, she said, hey, Devon, or shall I say Devon? She was like, all these years, I never knew your real name was Devon. I just always assumed it was Devon. And I remember listening to that and just cracking up, rolling, because nobody really knows that my real name is Devon and not Devon because it's so similar. But, just stuff like that, and I actually wind up talking to her after I called her and said, hey, Steph, I said, I'm doing good. I said, God's not ready for me yet. He still wants me to be down here with you guys, putting everybody in WWE in check. So he's not ready to take me away yet. We laughed about it and this and that and blah, blah, blah. And, she was a real true friend. I made the mistake of using the word infatuation as opposed to saying admired. And they took it and just ran with it. Not to mention, a question was brought up about during the Attitude Era and blah, 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 would you have loved to date Stephanie McMahon? I said, and I came up with an answer. I said, well, why wouldn't you? She's a very beautiful girl. I said, she's woman, excuse the expression. I said, she's a very beautiful woman. I was like, back then, who would not have wanted to date her? But you know what? Triple H found her first. And, they started talking. She fell in love with him. He fell in love with her. And they're together. They have a beautiful family. And that's it. Don't try to make it out to be something that it's not. And I tell the wrestling fans all the time, as opposed to reading the dirt sheets, read this transcript first before you jump to conclusions. And that's what a lot of people don't do. There are transcripts um of the interview. You just got to read it and know that that's not what was meant to be said. And when it was certain people that I knew that had podcasts and YouTube stuff that was actually saying exactly what the dirt sheets were saying. Oh, breaking news, Devon Dudley said he's infatuated with Stephanie. Should Triple H be worried about that? Worried about what? Are you serious? I just had a stroke and you're putting that type of garbage out there? It's like, be careful. You reap what you sow. Not saying that it's going to come on your show, but something in your personal life may happen to where these lies that you're telling can come back and hurt you that way. So, I just always thought of her, Shane, Vince, and Linda to be very good to me, and Triple H, very good to me. I'm not going to bury them because you feel I should or you don't like them or because you don't like what's going on in WWE. I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to bury Vince. Yes, I understand that what happened. I wasn't a part of that, and um I do not know the gist of it fully. I only know what the media had put out there about the situation, and nor do I care to elaborate on it. But again, that's not my business. My business at hand is knowing Vince as my boss and how he treated me. He didn't treat me bad. He made me a lot of money. He built this house that I'm living in, along with the fans, of course, because they had to pay to come see us and buy our merchandise. But I'm not gonna bite the hand that feeds me. I'm sorry. You can say I sold out or I'm kissing their ass. Listen, you become the type of person as you get older and realize that living like a rebel is not gonna pay the bills. Because at the end of the day, if I couldn't pay my bills and I got fired because I listened to some of these idiots out there that said, "Oh, I should have said this or I should have said that about them," stop kissing their ass. The minute that paycheck stops coming in, are you going to pay my bills? Are you going to put my kids through college? Are you going to take care of me when I'm sick? No, you're not, because you can't. But that man took care of me. That whole family took care of me and was very good to me. So I would never bite the hand that feeds me. It's not about kissing somebody's ass or, whatever with WWE. It's about being honest and having morals and dignity. That's what about. I'm not trying to live like a rebel. I'm not trying to go out there and go against the grain. Just because you don't like what they're doing on TV or you feel a storyline should be going a certain way, and you hear some people go, "Oh, this is garbage." They need to get rid of Triple H and this and that. Okay, that's your opinion. Your opinion doesn't join with my opinion, just like mine doesn't go with yours. So again, you think what you think and do what you do. Guess what? I'm living in this house. I've been out of wrestling now for what, almost 6, 7 years on a full-time contract basis, and I'm doing very well for myself, and the company still takes care of me. So why would I ever bite the hand that feeds me because you feel that I should? I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to put myself in a rut where I can't pay my bills because I ruined the thing that was making me money in the first place because you felt that I should do it. Because all I'm going to get is, "Dad, yeah, Devon, you're damn right. Yeah, stick up for yourself. Yeah, yeah, yeah." There's nothing to stick up for myself for, but just tell the truth.
Well said. Well said. And let me just add to this whole thing, just to put a bow on it. Um, Devon, you were nothing more than a Billy D. Williams, Colt 45, smooth talking, long legged Mac Daddy. All right. Every beautiful woman on the planet cannot resist the Devon Dudley charm. All right. That's what I've learned from the dirt sheets. Okay. Every beautiful woman walking the face of the earth is no match for the Devon Dudley, Billy D. Williams style of macking. All right, we're gonna
Well,
leave it at that.
hold on. Where are all these women you talk about? Because I haven't seen not one. Sorry, I haven't seen that one. And the only reason why I became friends with the people you said was because I worked with them and we got to know each other. Listen, we're like a family. And that's what a lot of people don't understand either. When you see each other night and day, when you see each other more than you see your family, you develop relationships where the friendships are just as genuine as the ones that you have with your family. In other words, you don't, you can't see your family the way you want to, so you make friends at work. And that's exactly what we did. We made friends. And, with me being, especially with Alexa and Lacey, with my background in terms of being with the company and in pro wrestling, with the knowledge that I had, if I had their matches, we were talking and giving them ideas and what have you, and then breaking down some knowledge for them if I had knowledge on a situation. So that's how that all develops. It develops because we work together. And we had to think, I ain't got to teach Stephanie McMahon shit. She knows her shit. She knew her shit growing up way before I did. I mean, again, her father is Vince McMahon. What do you expect? She's gonna know. And then on top of that, being led by Triple H during the Attitude Era, during the um, what was it called? The McMahon Helmsley regime. I mean, they worked together. They basically, I'm sure Hunter was showing her the ropes and this and that, teaching her just as much as she was getting from her father. So, I look at it, this way. Again, friendships are very important in this business, and you want to make sure that you can have them. Now, again, you got to be careful because, like Austin said, DTA, don't trust anyone. But as a producer, I got nothing to steal from them, and they ain't got nothing to steal from me but knowledge if I have it.
Damn right. Damn right. And let me say this about Alexa Bliss real quick, because I'm glad you brought her up. And that's pretty cool that you and her are such great friends, because I loved that whole 5 feet of fury thing she was doing. Loved it.
Hmm.
She's solid in the ring. She's a great promo. I love the fact that she's so small. She's so tiny, yet she's so mighty. She does not.
There
She
she
she,
is.
she reminds me in a different way. In a different way, she reminds me of Eddie Guerrero in the sense that you forget how small this person is because their presence
Hmm.
is so huge. She has huge presence. But,
Yeah.
you know, one of the things about me is that I'm very good at recognizing what makes people different and the skills and the character traits that are necessary to focus on in order for them to achieve even more than what they could even imagine they can achieve. That's one of my skill sets. I love developing people, um, and I've done it across different industry and what have you. So because of that, though, the things that I latch onto about people and what I respect most about them and what I could see, oh, if we tap into that aspect of that person, wow, they could do this, they could do that. It's a little different when I see Alexa Bliss, right? And I hear her story about her husband, Ryan Cabrera, who's a big time music star, big time reality TV star. I think he was the first musician to have a reality TV series and be able to sell a bunch of music at the same time. So he really, the series and the music complemented each other so well back then. And he pulled it off and he did a very good job of it. So shout out to Ryan. But Alexa loves to tell the story that she grew up watching him on TV and she made up her mind when she was just a kid in high school. Not only was she going to meet Ryan, not only was she going to date Ryan, she made up in her mind she was going to marry that man. And everybody in music that she liked would be at her wedding. And damn it, Devon, everybody in music that she liked, that she watched on MTV, Total Request Live, and saw on the different reality shows that were popping up and what have you, and reading in the magazines, they were at her wedding. Some of them were part of her wedding.
Yeah.
And she married the guy that she said she was going to marry. Didn't even
And
know the guy.
and that's great. That's great. And she knew what she wanted right away. And I'm sure Ryan had no idea who she was
No,
in the very beginning, but long and behold, he does now.
he does now. That's his
He
woman.
does
But
now. Yes, his woman.
but I'll tell you this about her. You know what that tells me about Alexa Bliss as a human being? Lexi Kaufman as a
Hmm.
human being? That is somebody who should never be underestimated That is
Mm-hmm.
somebody who she probably is the strongest person in the room 99% of the time. Not because she has the muscles, not because she's the biggest, but her determination and her will to achieve goals is second to none. She will move mountains in order to achieve what she wants to achieve in life. And a person like that, brother,
Mm-hmm.
you better keep them on your side because you do not want to be on the receiving end of the other side of that. If she has a problem with you, she could probably destroy anybody. You know what
She's
I
a
mean? So
firecracker. I'll tell you that. She's definitely a firecracker. She protects herself very well, physically and verbally. She knows what she's doing. She's a very, very smart young lady, and she gets the job done every single time, which is why she's such a star in the WWE. She does great. And I told her numerous times, I'm very proud of you because again, with some of the things that you would face coming into this business, a lot of people would have crumbled, but you took on the adversity and you took it and you ran with that football all the way across the finish line, and you're still running. So kudos to you. I mean, there were times where she was frustrated and upset, and a lot of people do in this business when it comes to how they're being booked, but she took it on the chin and just went out there, came back stronger than ever.
absolutely. Absolutely. Listen, Alexa Bliss, I'm sure you'll hear this at some point. I got a lot of respect for you. I'm a fan of your work, but I got a lot of respect for you as a human being. And I'll just reiterate, there is nothing that you can't do because there is no one who is more willing and more able to move mountains to achieve their goals than you. Like you are something special. And I'll just leave it at that. A lot of time for her. A lot of time for her, man. And again,
Yes.
it's cool to hear that you're good friends with her because that says a lot about you as a human being. The fact that all of these wonderful people, not only do they want to be associated with you, they legitimately want to spend their personal time with you. I want you to come to my house and spend time with my family and bring your family. Let's break bread together. Let's, that says a lot about you, bro. It says a lot
And
about you. So
that's exactly what we did. So for social media, like I said, to do what they did, and you guys are wrong.
yeah,
You guys are wrong in every sense of the word. And the thing about it is, it will come back at you. Karma's a bitch, and I believe in it so much, which is why I try to treat people the way they should be treated. Because I don't want karma coming at me. Because I've had it done before. Trust me, and it ain't pretty, and I don't like it. So I try to be that person. So please, when you're telling a story, especially something like that, don't try to ruin people's lives. That could have hurt me and my marriage. That could have hurt anything. But, luckily it didn't because God was with me and straightened out the whole situation.
indeed, indeed, I love that. I love that, and it's not a gimmick, folks. I mean, especially on this show, you hear Devon completely with his guard down. He's just shooting straight, and these are his values. It's just as simple as that. These are his values. This is really who he is. That whole Reverend Devon thing is not a gimmick. That though, it's based
No, it's
around his,
not.
it's based around his values. I keep hearing. I did get the question. Did Trick Williams and Lash Legend, did they respond to you yet? Are you going to be one of the officials?
I I saw a trick. I saw a trick at Raw, and he said to me, he goes, I saw what you said. I said, and I looked at him, I said, oh, shuck. I said, what did I say now? And I said, what do you mean? He goes, the whole with them. I said, oh, you mean the wedding thing? And he goes, yeah. I was like, hey, I was like, Reverend Devon is ready. I was like, you let me know and I'll be there to officiate the wedding. I said, absolutely. And I won't even charge you. And if I do charge you, it'll be half the price. He
There it
started
is.
laughing. I said, no. I said, I can never charge you. I said, trust me. I don't have Deacon Batista anymore to collect. He's already in Hollywood.
We might have to dust them off, man. We have to
But no,
dust
he
them
he
off.
thought that was funny.
I
Listen, I don't
love that,
mind doing it. I mean, again, my suit is in the closet, ready. My collar is in my car, so whenever I do have to pull it out, I'll pull it out.
brother. First of all, Lash Legend is
And
looking
that's a shoot.
absolutely. I know it is. I know it is. That's who you are. Um, Lash Legend has been looking incredible in the ring. She Absolutely, that was the perfect way to launch her. She's been doing a great job since she's been up on the main roster. Her and Nia Jax, I didn't see that pairing coming, but witnessing it, it's perfect. And I think it's adding a
Hmm.
layer to Nia that Nia definitely needed. Nia's at her best when she's playing off of somebody. So that combination is
You know what?
fantastic.
It just hit me. I was thinking about this because I was going to say, she's a big girl. She's a tall, fit person, and you could just see the power when she moves in that ring. Whether she picking somebody up, just the and to be so big to move with grace, I think it's great. Again, she's a very strong and powerful woman. And I love everything that's going on with her right now. And I think I'm happy that she got the opportunity that she's getting right now. But when you put those two together, it's almost like the Twin Towers.
Yeah.
It's almost like Danny Spivey and Sid Vicious, being
Skyscrapers, yeah.
the actual
Yeah.
Twin Towers, the
Yeah.
skyscrapers. I mean, they are very powerful women, big, tall, powerful women that can do some damage if they really want to.
Absolutely. I mean, we thought we saw something with Jade Cargill and Bianca Belair, but this Nia and Lash Legend, this is even bigger and stronger. It's
Well,
like, oh, okay,
Bianca and Jay, they were just powerhouses.
yeah,
I mean, they both had strength that a woman at their size, especially Bianca, a woman her size should not be possessing. And that little girl, good God, she is strong as hell. And to
mm,
see her background before she came into wrestling, the things that she was doing, good God. Now I don't know too much about Jade, but I did hear. Correct me if I'm wrong. Was she a basketball player
yeah.
as
She
well?
was a college basketball player, Jade Cargill, absolutely.
Yeah, yeah. And I mean, to take her body and to transform it, I don't know what she looked like before, but she got into wrestling. But look at her now. I mean, it's incredible the power you see in her.
Yeah,
And then to be able to back it up and do it, man. I mean, again, my hat goes off to all of these women in pro wrestling today because, again, and I'm not taking anything away from the women from the Attitude Era or the 80s, but God, these women are powerful and they're strong and they're leading the pack with the men side by side as opposed to being behind them. They are leading the pack and sometimes they are taking charge and they are taking the role as being, in front. So I love the fact that they're doing this. I mean, my days, the attitude era, it was like sex sells. And that's exactly what they were doing with a lot of women back then. Women did not get the proper respect that they should have gotten back then. But then again, you got to look at how they were being booked, bikini matches and things like that. So, of course, you have your teenage boys that's going to go crazy and, think with their bottom head and not their top head. And that's what turned the channel on so much. But nowadays, it's pure athleticism, it's pure power. It's just these women know what they're doing, and that's both WWE and AEW. I can't say that enough. I'm not just going to say WWE, but AEW as well, because I've seen some of the women over there. And I'm a big fan of Tony. Say her
Storm.
name, Tony Storm. I was about to
Yeah,
say that. Tony Storm. I mean, I think her character is great. She plays it well, and she's very athletic. I mean, very, very good on both parts.
yeah. Shout out to Tony Storm. I'm so disappointed that it didn't work out in WWE for her the way that it could have. She's got an interesting story, man. I mean, I'm a big fan of Lillian Garcia, and she had a podcast called Chasing Glory, where I really loved the way that she was able to get people to open up. Because Lillian is you could tell she's a good person. And I think people feel really comfortable talking to her. She did an interview with Tony Storm where Tony Storm revealed that she was a cutter. And, different emotional, mental health challenges and what have you, especially through her wrestling journey. And one of the ways that she coped is that she would cut. And at the time, she had not cut in a while, and she was talking about the challenges there and things like that. But it was such a fascinating thing to hear and for somebody to admit and openly talk about. And it really made me a fan of Tony Storm because it's like, wow, you're going through this thing, you've dealt with it in a pretty dangerous way, yet you're still persevering, and you found a way to cope with all this stuff. It's like, wow, that person, there's something about that person that you got to root for. So to see her success in AEW is fantastic, and shout out to Tony Storm, 100%. I agree with you.
Yes, big shout out to Tony Storm.
Yeah.
But I will say this: the one lady that I'm still, I wish that I was young enough to get my hands on and to get back at her, and is Lillian Garcia. We never got the opportunity to put her through a table. We almost did. We got close, but we never got a chance to put her through a table. Man, and every time I see her, I tell her, I said, Lillian, you're the one that got away from us. I was like, man, we wanted to put you through a table so bad. Listen, we put Stacy Keibler through a table. We put Lita through a table, Trish Stratus. I said, we almost got Stephanie McMahon, but I grabbed Bubba and said, are you crazy? Do you know the ramifications of putting that girl through a table? And then we went to commercial break. And thank God we didn't, because there's no telling what would have happened if we would have did that. But man, Lillian Garcia, I wanted to put her butt through a table so bad. And I tell her all the time, and she goes, oh, Devon, she goes, there's still time. I go, no, unfortunately, my time has run out. I was like, I cannot do that anymore. And she was like, well, how about Bubba? I said, you really want Bubba putting you through a table without me being there? She goes, yeah, you're right. My time has run out.
Listen, listen. What kind of person is Lillian? Is she the sweetheart that she seems like? Because I'll tell you, man, I think she's probably a really, really nice person.
She really is. She's a very nice person. She's very thoughtful and caring, and very very funny, very charismatic, extremely charismatic. And when I tell you she can sing, she can sing. Listen, during the Attitude Era, there were certain people that used to make fun of her that were on top, and like make fun of her in terms of like she can't sing and this and that, but they were all jealous of her. And they will all make these comments and then make sly remarks in front of her. And I used to be like, why make these comments? This girl can sing her butt off. She sang the Star Spangled Banner every night, Monday Night Raw opening, and not to mention what she did the night in September, what she did after September 11th, when we had that show and everything closed down and WWE was the only thing that went on because everything was shut down. When she sang that Star Spangled Banner that night, good God, I mean, it brings me chills. And every time I watch it, I start tearing up. And I say that is because you had to know what we were feeling back then during September 11th. If you weren't born then and experienced what happened during September 11th, you will never understand why it was such an emotional time back then, because it really was. I mean, America was knocked down. It was like getting hit by Mike Tyson and didn't know if you were going to get back up. We were knocked down. Our fear was running rampant through all of us. And, it was almost like, will America ever bounce back from that? And we did, especially New York City. They bounced back. And to hear her sing that national anthem and how it came from her heart and just her soul, God, it was like watching Whitney Houston do the Star Spangled Banner at the Super Bowl. Now, I'm not saying she was on that same level, but I'm just saying that's what it felt like back then, because it meant so much for the people to come together that night and to show unity. That was the first time I would actually say black and white actually really got along. That was the first time Americans were, and I'm not talking about just New York City, I'm talking about everybody was getting along and really banding together after September 11th, because it was such a tragic blow and what we went through and the emotions that were running through everybody during that time. Good God. For those of you that are old enough to remember that and experience, I know I'm telling the truth, because that's the way it was back then. The only sad part about that year was when the New York Yankees, if you remember, went to the World Series and they lost. And I remember Tommy Dreamer pretty much saying, I think it was like second to last game before they lost, they were like, it's a storybook ending. September 11th happened, and this and that. The people band together, the Yankees in the World Series. You couldn't write a better story. I guarantee you, the story is going to be the Yankees are going to win the World Series. But unfortunately, it didn't happen that way.
Yeah, it broke my heart, man. I'm a Yankees fan, and which is crazy for a guy from Boston. But I'm a Yankees fan. Don Mattingly, my first baseball card, it was a Topps hologram. Been a Yankees fan ever
Hmm.
since. So, and there's no shame in my game about that. But you're absolutely
Yep.
right. The Yankees had won. I think they won 3 years in a row right before that. They won 98, 99, and 2000. 9/11 happens in 2001. The Yankees were in the World Series, but they lost.
Yeah.
And then the following year, they didn't make it. They went back to the World Series in 2003. So yeah, that was a tough period of time, man. Because you're right, it would have been a storybook ending if they had won that year. It sure would
Hmm.
have been. It sure would have been. You know, listen. Before we go, because we've covered a lot of bases here, I do want to ask you an interesting question. Um, First and foremost, shout out to Matt Cardona, who's back in the WWE officially.
Hmm.
He's in the WWE as Matt Cardona. He's not back as Zack Ryder, so he gets to be himself, which is pretty cool. And certainly shout out to Chelsea Green, his wife, who I got a lot of time for. Very nice person. Um, so congratulations to them making that happen. This is probably Matt Cardona's last run on a big stage. Hopefully, he can get multiple contracts out of this run, but this is probably his last run taking on the top talent in the biggest company and et cetera, et cetera. Here's my question to you. During your last run in WWE, you and Bubba, you guys won the championship. You were taking on all the top tag teams, like you said, the Bludgeon Brothers, the Usos, New Day, et cetera, et cetera. You guys are taking on everybody. Um, Did it register to you at any point that this is probably my last run? This is probably my last big contract as a wrestler. Did that ever pop up in your head? And if so, what was that like? Because it's different from wrestling your last match. This is like my last big contract. A little different. Did that ever register during that period of time?
Well, I'm gonna say no, it did not register, but I gotta correct you. We did not win the titles coming back to WWE. Unfortunately, we got beat.
Oh,
The New Day kept beating us. They kept cheating, using that third man on the outside. But I do remember thinking to myself when I came back to WWE, I thought it was going to be another 6, 7 years before we left. I never dreamt that it would only be 1 year because they wanted to re-sign us, but Bubba had other plans. Bubba wanted to go out and do his own thing, and I couldn't fault him for that. He came to me and told me, and I was upset about it. But I was like, what can I do? Because WWE was what I wanted. That's where I've always wanted to work. I never wanted to work anywhere else. I wanted to be like the Undertaker. And what did he do? 25 years in WWE or something
yeah,
like that. But
yeah.
I wanted to be that person that had that reign like Undertaker did in terms of the longest in the company. And unfortunately, it didn't work out that way. It was cut short, of course, in 2005 when we left the first time. And then when we came back, I thought maybe we could do another 10 years, maybe. And, again, unfortunately, Bubba didn't want to resign. He wanted to go do his own thing, which it is what it is, and I get it. And the old man said that he didn't want just one of us, he wanted both of us. And that's why I became a producer because I wanted to stay. I didn't want to leave. There was nowhere to go. There was no AEW at the time, and I didn't want to go to Japan because at the time I was going through my second divorce and I basically didn't want to have to fly back, to the United States if I was in Japan, if I had to come back because of court or something because of that. So I said, no, I don't want to. I don't want to be a producer. Is there anything else? Can I do anything else? Maybe just be here to help, guys get over or to be knowledge to the young guys. And I was told no, and that was the end of that. So I never thought in a million years that it would end in 2016. I thought I was going to go another 6, 7 years. And unfortunately, that did not happen. But I went 6 or 7 years as a producer, but not as the Dudley Boys.
So when you reflect back, let me rephrase the question then, because bro, I thought you guys won the title that last run. I didn't realize they didn't put the titles on you. I thought for sure you did. But
Yeah,
reflecting back,
no.
do you have any advice for Cardona and really all the folks who have managed to crawl and scrape and fight, keep themselves over enough that WWE is like, hey, we want you back. Let's put you under contract. We're going to put you on TV. We're going to put you in the PLEs. You're back. Do you have any advice for those folks who have been brought back?
Well, enjoy the time that you do, but try to get the most you can out of it. And just work your butt off as if it was your second time, is it your first time? I mean, that's what I felt that me and Bubba could have did on that second run. But again, Bubba, decided he didn't want to do it, and I can't blame him for that. That's he wanted what he wanted. I wanted what I wanted. It was the first time I think we ever agreed to disagree on something. And so, I mean, just treasure every moment you have because you just never know when it's going to be over. And try to make more money the second time around than he did the first one.
Yeah, especially that part. You know what I mean? Get that merch going. Matt Cardona is the reason why WWE got into the whole YouTube business, and now they are the most prominent YouTube channel for sports league or sports and entertainment uh, global company. But Matt Cardona was the one who was doing that stuff first and convinced the company that they need to take a look at that. And I'll tell you, whether you like his wrestling or not, whether you like some of the nonsense he did on the indies or not, because some of that was nonsense. I don't like that deathmatch crap. And I'll tell you that, Matt. I like you. I don't like the deathmatch crap. But I always felt that the company made a mistake letting that guy go, whether he wanted to wrestle or not, just like with you, when they transitioned you into a producer. They should have kept him on board to help them continue to develop their web stuff because the guy clearly understands it. He clearly knows something. He has good instincts. And I hope that they're tapping into him now on that level because as this stuff continues to evolve, you got AI and you got all this stuff going on. It's good to have people from the outside come in and apply what they know, but there's nothing that beats somebody who understands the business, understands
Hmm.
what a performer goes through, and and he's a big fan too, which is great. He collects action figures and stuff, so he actually understands something
Oh
that a lot
yeah.
of wrestlers lose sight of. He understands the fan experience. A person who has all of that and can articulate that in an excellent manner, you got to tap into those skills, man. He's not just a performer. Get him in the web division and have him continue to keep WWE on the cutting edge of all of this online stuff. That's my hope and that's my pitch to the company because I think that guy has the talent to do it. And why wouldn't you tap into it? You know.
Exactly.
So there's that. Now listen, we got to do a birthday shout out. There is a independent wrestler down in Texas who was trained by Rodney Mack and Jazz, and he's celebrating his 64th birthday. A guy by the name of Haas Holding, the outlaw Haas Holding. This man is a cancer survivor, and he always had a dream of becoming a pro wrestler. So he got trained later in life, and sure enough, he did what he had to do, and officially became a wrestler. He's won a couple of titles down there in Texas. Really, really good guy, sharp guy. So I'd be remiss if we didn't show him some love. Do you have anything to say about the birthday boy, Haas Holding?
Also, and listen, happy birthday and many more. You made it to 64. Now let's make it to 110. And as far as I'm concerned, you take somebody and put them through a table from now until the time 110 comes around, you'll probably live past that. So continue all the great work. And again, happy birthday. And please give Rodney Mack and Jazz my best. Two great people, two great trainers. I know their wrestling school is top notch. You're learning from the best. So congratulations on another trip around the sun.
Indeed, indeed. Shout out to the whole family down there, including Rodney and Jazz, James Beard, the whole crew down there, but especially Haas Holding. Inspirational guy, man. Just seriously, inspirational guy. And I just love to see that he's still out there kicking and fighting and doing what he got to do, entertaining the fans and all that good stuff there, living out a dream.
Hmm.
Anyway, Devon, what's the
Yes,
best way
sir.
that folks can keep up with you, the wonderful YouTube channel, the whole nine yards there?
Absolutely. You can check me out on Devon Dudley YouTube channel. Of course, like and subscribe. Leave your comments down below. We read them all, and even the negative ones. The negative ones we don't pay too much mind to, so you're wasting your time if you got something bad to say. But the good ones we definitely respond to, and we're very happy to hear that you're enjoying the channel. So please get the word out, and let's make it to 300,000 before the end of this year. We're already at 200,000, 206,000, I believe, and we did that within a year and a month. So let's go even further than that. You can also reach me at Testify Devon on Instagram. I love that. I'm not even gonna put my Twitter out anymore because again, I don't really go on that. I don't particularly really care for Twitter because I just feel like people on Twitter are so disrespectful. They feel they can say and do whatever they want. And not to mention, it seems like Twitter has turned into porn. It's like you can't watch a video, scroll up, and it's porn. And God forbid if I hit the like button again by mistake. Oof.
You got caught up in that, boy. They had to change that because of you.
Yeah, I heard they changed it. I don't know if it was because of me, but now nobody can see their likes and stuff. I wish they did that back then.
I love it. I love it.
Uh, that
I
was
love it.
funny. I'll never take my phone in the gym again and do that.
I know. I know. Please, you over here. That's the equivalent of a butt dial. Like damn. Uh-oh.
You got that right. You got that right.
Now listen. I saw online you had Big Vito at your wrestling school.
Yes, that creep never sent me the picture.
Oh, I got to send it to you. It's up. Everybody else saw it. I got to send it to you. It's up.
Okay, yeah, yeah. He came to the school and we had a good time, and it felt like 1991 again. Vito was the one that helped break me into the business. He was doing WWF TV before I got there, and I always looked at him as being sort of like a mentor because he was there before me. He was in the ring with Diesel. He was in the ring with Bret Hart. Tatanka, all of those guys. When I first started at Johnny Rogers School, so he was like the big brother to everybody during that time. And so when he came down to the school and he was talking to the students and this and that, it was kind of like the old days again for me. It really felt good. I just wish I would have been able to get in the ring and do stuff like that with him. But I was like, nah, my time is done. I'm good. Vito's still going at it, so let Vito do what he does best. And he did a very good job. I was very proud to have him there, and I hope that he comes back and visit the school again.
Yeah. Shout out to Big Vito. That's my buddy right there, man. He always has a kind word to say about you, Devon, and how you guys have been
Yeah.
friends pretty much throughout the whole tenure of your
Yeah.
careers for the most part. He's a
Over 30,
generation
we've
above
been
you.
friends over 30 years. Yeah,
Yeah,
we've
yeah.
been
So
friends
that's
over 30 years.
that's incredible,
You
and
know,
that speaks to
yep.
both of you, the kind of gentleman that you are, that you guys still maintain that relationship there because you're both special people and great people there. So that was cool to see, man.
Absolutely.
That was
And I tell him all the time, I'm like, I'm mad with you. He goes, why you mad with me, Devon? I said, because you beat me up when I was a young boy.
oh, it's funny because I bring that up sometimes to him, and he's so amazed that Devon Dudley has so little ego that you would openly, not just that you would tell anybody that story, but you've told that story on the show. The fact that you openly admit that Vito used to have to rough you up in the wrestling school, he's so amazed that you are that willing to just be honest about that. It's because no one would ever admit that,
well,
but Devon does, you know.
I was 18 years old. I was nowhere. I was barely pushing 200 pounds. Listen, I remember at one point I tried to go to McDonald's and eat every Big Mac there was to just gain weight. I had a problem with gaining weight back then. It was bad, but I had no idea that that was the wrong food because I wasn't taught that, that's not how you put on weight. I had nobody to train me in this business how to eat and train. I had to do everything myself.
Mm.
But yeah, so I was barely 200 pounds. When I was in ECW, I believe I was 215. I was 215 at the time. And then I think the most I'd ever weighed in ECW was 225. Then I got to
Wow.
WWE and started being in there with Farouk and Bradshaw and all of those guys, Tess, Val Venus and all of them, was training with those guys from time to time and forget it. The rest is history from there. So, and I was a small kid. I had this big head and a little body. And I had no strength to me whatsoever. Man, Vito was kicking my butt all up and down that ring. Him and another guy named Larry Briscoe, who, in my
Wow.
opinion, Larry Briscoe, not Larry Zabisco, but his name was Larry Briscoe. He was the Bob Backlund of the school. Larry was, and you get in that ring, and you were scared to get in the ring because he would stretch the hell out of you, and you had anxiety about getting in the ring with him.
Wow.
I mean,
Wow.
he was that good. I've always felt that if he would have tried to get in the business in the '70s and '80s, he would have definitely been a name you would have heard of. But he wasn't old enough to be in the business at that time, so he basically he couldn't do it. He wasn't old enough to do it, Ben.
And then probably with your generation, they were looking for bigger guys. He might have been too small, huh?
Yeah, he was kind of like maybe 6'2", 6'3", maybe 225, 230. Back
Mm.
then, that was the land of the giants.
Yep. Yep. Yep.
So you had the Hogan and Andre era still there. Um, by the time I got there, they were still there. Guys were still, jacked up and beefed up, and Larry wasn't taking any supplements, nothing like that. He was just all natural.
Wow. Just a shooter and a stretcher. That's about it. Got it.
A shooter and a stretcher from every answer, and I loved both of them for making me who I was, because if it wasn't for them, I wouldn't have been able to be in the ring with Perry Saturn and have him on one knee going, "Yeah, the kid can go." I just
Which that
saw Perry
endorsement
Saturn. I was
changed your
in.
life.
Oh man, listen, the shape I was in then was incredible, and Vito and Larry helped me get to that shape. Nobody on the face of the earth at that time could have blown me up. That's how good it was.
Wow.
And Bubba was a witness to. It's funny how Bubba's always there to witness. All the stuff that I need to have witnessed. Bubba was in the corner. Pretty much was amazed that I was in there blowing him up the way I did. Not I didn't blow him up, so to speak, like that, but it was kind of like the stuff that we were doing in the ring. He was on one knee and I'm bouncing around talking about, yeah, let's go. I was like, we can go again. And he was like, no, the kid can go. The kid can really go. And I brought that up to him in Salem. And he was like, Devon, he was like, you were in incredible shape, which is why when we heard you came from Johnny Rod's school, we knew automatically that you could go.
Yep.
And there was no way Johnny
Yep.
was going to give us you if you couldn't go. He was like, we knew right away. You had everything there was to come into ECW.
I love that. I love that. Shout out to the whole crew there: Perry Saturn, Briscoe, the whole 9 yards. There, of course, Vito, Johnny Rods. That's good history right there, man. That's good
Oh, yeah,
history.
all those names. Like I said, I always put Perry Saturn over. He was very good to me. He was crazy as hell, but he was good to me. And, he taught me a lot in this business. He taught me how to be tough, I tell you that. Man,
Mm.
that man slapped me one time. My jaw was on one side of the ring and the other, my tongue was on the other in the match. Man, he slapped me so hard one day. I remember Bubba telling the story. He was like, I've never been slapped so hard the way I was slapped by Big Sam, the Samoan,
Yes.
Rikishi's brother. He was like, good God, he slapped the hell out of Bubba. You heard it in the back in the locker room. That's how hard he hit Bubba.
Wow. Like a
Yeah,
gunshot
and,
went
and
off or
it,
something.
a
Yeah.
gunshot, and it wasn't like they were fighting. It was part of the story. We knew that Sam was going to slap him, but when Sam slapped him, good God, you get slapped by one of them Samoans, good night.
Yeah.
It's over.
Yeah. Well,
It
they
is
got
over.
catcher's mitts for hands, so shoot. He'd probably knock you the next Tuesday, of course.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Mm.
Folks, Duke Loves Rasslin on Facebook, on X, Duke Loves Rasslin at gmail.com. Keep the comments coming. Keep the questions coming. I mean, it's great, the amount of support that we continue to build in the community. It's amazing. And you folks, you just want more. You want to hear more about what Devon has to say and my analysis and all that good stuff there. That's why we keep going viral, which is fantastic. For all you brands out there, we are not necessarily looking for adult entertainment or anything like that. the demographics of our audience is a little different. Young urban professionals for the most part. We probably have the highest percentage of female listeners of any non-female specific pro wrestling podcast out there. So we're
I
a
don't mean to
unicorn in
cut
that
you
regard.
off.
Yep.
I don't mean to cut you off, but it's probably what you said. I'm the Mac. They love to hear my voice.
That's what I'm starting to figure it out here, Billy D. Williams. That Colt 45 Mackin you got going on, because it's amazing, man.
Hey,
We over
hey,
index in females.
hey! You remember that? Remember, Lady Sings the Blues with about Billie Holiday, Billy D. Williams, and Diana Ross.
Yeah,
When he walked up there and he goes, "You want my hand to fall off?" One of the most popular lines in that movie. Oh
absolutely.
God.
Absolutely. Listen, you're gonna have to grow your mustache like him now, man. You gotta, you gotta live up to the hype. You know.
Listen, that's that 80s porn style mustache. I don't know about that.
So wait, you ain't
I
you ain't gonna
remember
grow your hair out? You ain't gonna grow your hair out and get the S curl too? Because he had that dippity do in his hair.
that's why I'm bald now. My mother put that in my hair in 5th grade and burnt my damn scalp. My hair stopped growing. I was 18 years old. I
Oh
was like
no,
losing my hair. I was losing my hair. I was losing my hair at 17
that's
because
crazy.
my mother put that stuff. My mother put that stuff in my hair. Notice how every black man that had an S curl or a Jerry curl, basically a bald now.
Yeah, that's a fact. That's a fact.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wonder
Think
why.
about it.
Yeah,
Yep.
burn them
Now
roots
you know
right
why
out.
Devon's bald.
Burnt those roots right out. Well, like I was saying though, folks, we probably have a very unique audience compared to most other shows, so we want to stay in line with that. So if you are a big brand, especially in health and fitness, if you are a brand that centers around mental health, in emotional health, therapy, things of that nature, because Devon and I, we're talking about real life stuff, and we're providing real life advice to people on how to handle these things. And that's what our audience keeps coming back for. So if your brand is aligned with those values, reach out. Duke Loves Rasslin at gmail.com. Let's talk. Let's do business, because I'll tell you, top 5% of all listened to podcasts in the world. We just won 3 podcasting awards in 2025. We continue to go viral every week. Let's talk. We are open for business with the sponsorships and the advertisements and what have you, but it's got to be the right thing. Don't be trying to come over here with your penis pills and nothing like that. You know what I mean? I think our audience wants to hear more about health food and drinks and mental health services and things of that nature. I think we're more aligned with that.
Listen,
We're
I
the
think you just
PG.
gave. I think.
What's
I
that?
think you just gave the word of the day.
What's that? What's that?
What you just said. All of that. What you just said. That's
Hey,
it.
that's it. That's it. That's the biggest takeaway of the day right there, folks. The word of the day. That's it. So yeah, we're open for business. Come on down. Let's collaborate together, because what Devon and I have going on in 2026, you think we did something in 2025. We can't let our boy with the barbecue sauce down. We don't want him thinking that we're jealous of anybody or that we're not satisfied. So we're going to continue to achieve goals like we're Alexa Bliss. And I'll just leave it at that. I'll just leave
Listen,
it at
Alexa,
that.
Lacey, Stephanie, all of them combined into
Oh,
one.
Sasha,
We're gonna
all of them.
try to. We're gonna all of them. Very
Yeah.
proud of my daughter Sasha. What she doing out there?
Yeah, she's fantastic, man. She's fantastic. And the fact that she wants to continue to claim Massachusetts as her own, I think that's pretty cool too. So, just so
Yeah.
you know, she
Well,
ain't
I
claiming
can't. I can't.
Florida.
I can't be proud. Hold on. I can't be proud of her for everything.
Let's get
There are
out of
some
here. You
flaws
start
in there.
trouble. You start trouble now. The New York is coming out of you now. All right, the New York is coming out of you.
There you go. I'm Brooklyn all the way, baby. Brooklyn born and raised.
Strictly for the culture every day. Step in style in your unique way. Patterns and colors so defined. All about the perfect line. Be yourself, let your spirit fly. In this fashion, you'll touch the
visit www.strictlyfortheculture.ca.
Backstage whispers and the crowds roar, from matching giants to legends of yore. Devon's wisdom and Duke's keen view, every episode feels like it's brand new. Devon and the Duke bring the heat, wrestling tales knock you off your seat. Tune in now, don't you be late. Wrestling podcast never fails.